everybody. This is Bobby Mills for theindependent.com with another version of Endzone Online. Today we're in Cairo, Nebraska, a little north anyway, at Centura High School. We're with Coach Bart Cron. How are you, Coach?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Hey, man, I'm great. It's a pleasure to have you take the time out to do this.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. Appreciate what you guys do covering prep sports.
Well, thanks. It was kind of hard to get hooked up here, but where there's a will, there's a way.
Yep.
You're a busy man, geez.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I asked this to a lot of coaches, I guess I have in the past 3 or 4 weeks, but if this is your second year here, how are things going? Really, you like it here?
Yeah, I do like it here. Things are going well. We've got things starting to turn in the right direction. You know, I think when you're talking about changing culture, sometimes you got to look at where you started, not necessarily where you're at, because sometimes you want it to turn like a speedboat, and more often than not, it feels like you're turning the Titanic.
I know.
But I think we got things moving in the right direction. We got a good group of kids that have bought in. So I like where we're headed. I do.
Good.
Yeah.
Because I saw most of that game you guys played against Bridgeport, and I liked what I saw. And it looked like the kids were a cohesive unit. And, you know, the Centura toughness has always been there. Now, I don't know if it may not have been when you got here, but it's been that way for years. Whenever anybody plays Centura in football, they know they played a football game. You know, 16 out of the last 30 years in the playoffs, that's pretty good. And I don't think all of those were in seed 2 either.
Yeah, as far as that goes, I don't know. I do know that last year was the first time we'd made a back-to-back 16-team playoff, I think, ever.
Isn't that something, though? But they always seem to do it every other year.
Yeah, and then the year before that, my first year here was the first time, at least what I was told, that we had made a 16-team playoff since the early 80s. Because longer it was 32 teams, things like that, and that was kind of got that in. So being able to make that 16-team playoff was something that was pretty cool. You know, the kids enjoyed it. It was good for the program, the community, but now it's kind of taking that next step. Now it's not just getting there. Now we got to be able to be there, compete, win games in the postseason. Is obviously the ultimate goal. You know,
I think the 16, that's tough to make in C1 or C2, and you know, it's just not the 32 teams. You're going to sometimes get in, maybe even with a losing record. But that's if you make that 16-team playoff, you've got things moving in the right direction.
Yeah,
all right. So
absolutely.
Who's on your coaching staff this year? I recognize some faces from last year, but is there any new faces on there?
No new faces this year. Everybody's still the same. We've got a good staff, guys that all kind of know what they're doing in that part, and they do a great job of getting kids going in the right direction and doing things behind the scenes too. Coach K, Coach Kozanek, he's been around here at Centura for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy that when I got here, he decided to stay on. He does a great job helping me out with the O&D line, but then he also does all the behind-the-scenes stuff with the huddle, the technology stuff. You know, he's done equipment stuff in the past, something breaks on the sidelines, and then this year he's taken over as our special teams coordinator, which has been really good. So he kind of wears every hat. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife, so to speak, but he always jumps in. Kids love him. He does a great job. Coach Brown, he's taken over. He's done our linebackers. This is the second year doing linebackers. And the linebackers are playing really, really good.
Well, you're telling me,
Yeah, we got Coach Marvin. He's our offensive coordinator. I think he's done a great job because I think, you know, in his heart of hearts, he's a spread guy, and we're not a spread team. We just don't have the kids for that. And, you know, we met in the off season. He wanted to look at doing something a little bit differently, and we kind of ended up settling on and coming to an agreement on Flexbone. And he's jumped right in, and he's been really great resource, and he's called some great games so far this year. He's jumped right in with the Flexbone stuff, which, you know, some of those spread guys and former wide receivers, it's hard for them to run the ball all the time.
It is.
But he's done a great job of putting our kids in position. And then we've got Coach Brand still doing DBs, and Coach Dvorak helps out from time to time where he can with quarterbacks. So got a good staff. There's not a lot of us, but they all work their tails off and do everything they can to put kids in a position to be successful on Friday night. Yeah,
and you haven't lost anybody from last year, right?
No.
And so I mean, this is the same. The longer that goes, man, the better it's going to get.
Yeah,
it looks like
absolutely.
The staff looks like they've been together for like a half a dozen years, the way you guys operate. So that's, from my perception, that's a great thing. You know, that's cover each other's bases and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
How many kids out for football now?
We're right at about 30. So that's good. We were kind of fluctuating here and there, and we thought we might get a couple kids out early in the season that would have gotten that to about 34, but that didn't work out, and that's okay. I mean, those kids needed to make a choice that was what was best for them, but we've got a good cohesive group of kids, and kids that want to work hard, want to get better, have bought in all off season, got a lot stronger, a lot bigger, and a lot faster. That was something we started really focusing on when basketball ended last year, was our speed development. And I think it shows on Friday nights. We got some kids that can motor pretty well, which in the past we had a couple kids. You know, Eli Wooden last year could really run.
Yeah, he could.
But we didn't have any of that breakaway speed. I didn't feel in a couple of other spots. And I think this year we've got that with 3 or 4 guys that if they're able to get to that second level or turn a corner, they could be gone, which is great. And unfortunately, one of those kids, Boston Casperson in the Bridgeport game, broke his femur.
I didn't know that it didn't look good, and I didn't know if he was going to be able to come back or not.
Yeah.
He's a speed. Man, that kid.
Yeah, he runs tough, and he was starting both ways. He was starting an outside linebacker, and it was kind of a freak thing when you see it on film. It just looks like a normal play. And
was that on that sidelines play on your side?
no, it's kind of right in the middle of the field there. About
No, he got up
halfway
from
through the
the
first quarter. But
oh boy! But you look fast, and you know it looks like okay. When I got home, who was in the 100 and 200 in Omaha last year? They're just football speed, man, and that's really good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear about it. Will he has no chance to come back?
He won't be back this year. He's a junior.
Good. Well, good.
Just talked to him today. Saw the doctor. Said he's doing really, really well. So we're just taking it a day at a time to try to get him back and get him healthy. It appears as though his no ligament damage in his knee or anything because he broke it down on the bottom of the femur. So that's great news. Yep. You know, but he's still around. He's a big part of that culture that we're trying to develop. So that was definitely a tough loss. But we've had some kids step up, and you know as well as I know in C2, when you've got 30 kids, you have a key player go down. All of a sudden, you're going to start shuffling around the puzzle pieces to see if you can find the right combination.
I know.
And that's kind of where we've been the last couple of weeks, is trying to find the right combination of guys to put us in a position to be successful on Friday nights.
I hate to see that thing happen, but you know as a coach, that's going to take place. And that kid is a key player because wherever you go, they've heard his name in football or whatever sport it is. So, but somebody, you know, it's going to be an opportunity for somebody else, so I hate to say it that way, but I'm glad he's a junior, that's all I can tell you.
Yeah, me too.
So what about your offense? You talked about that flex bone. And I suppose the reasoning running that is you didn't have the athletes, like you said, to run the sprint, but I like that offense. And you got the quarterback to really handle it.
I really like it too. We started, as soon as we could, we started doing install stuff in the off season in the mornings. Just trying to get as many reads in as we can, because I didn't want to go, and I don't think Coach Marvin wanted to go into running an option type offense where you call a give or a keep or a pitch. We didn't want to do that. I think the way it's most effective is when you have a quarterback that reads it post snap. Tanner is an incredibly smart football player. He's a tough kid. He's picked it up really quick. He does a good job picking up reads. And there's a lot of times where, depending on what the defense gives us, he's making checks at the line. Yeah. And he's changing the play based on what he sees. And more often than not, he's calling it the same way myself or Coach Marvin would with what he sees. Whoa. So having him run it has been a huge blessing, and he's really started to thrive in that position.
Well, when I saw him operate, I knew he was smart. Yeah. And I knew he could handle it, but I didn't realize he was getting to that point. Senior high in Grand Island runs that offense all the time. You got to have a smart kid at quarterback. You're not going to be able to make those reads and make good decisions. So, yeah, I was very impressed. So who's in the backfield now with
Well, we were going, it was obviously Boston Casperson, and then he was splitting time with Quentin Morris, because we felt like we had, in my opinion at that time before Boston got hurt, I felt like we had the best 1-2 punch in the backfield with those two kids, because they're both physical runners, they're both downhill runners, and they've got breakaway speed. Yeah. So now Quentin has, obviously with the injury to Boston, has stepped in and taken most of the workload there. Yeah. We'll have some guys rotate in here and there to get him a little bit of rest, because he's also a two-way player. Quentin's got big-time speed to the point where running that flex bone, you want to hit it fast. There's certain things that we've had to slow him down because he's getting to it too fast.
Yeah.
And he's done a good job. So he's playing that fullback, and then we got our 2 wings. I mean, those guys are involved in a lot of the run game too. If we get to pitch phase or in our rock and toss game, things like that.
It's tough on the other side of the ball to sometimes know if he has the ball to start because he hits it that quick.
Yeah.
And he's not that far probably in back of it. But that kid runs behind his pads so well. I was really impressed with him when I saw that game that day. And about your defensive alignment?
Defense, we're predominantly in a 4-2-5. Depending on what we get, we can get into some different fronts, things like that. We're undersized. We're definitely missing some of the size that we had last year that we graduated. We got some kids in there that have stepped up, and I think it's still one of those, especially with our D-line up front, we're still trying to find the right puzzle pieces in the right place, so to speak. Not for lack of kids playing hard, things like that. We just got to find the right combination of guys. They're quick and they get after it, but sometimes against teams like St. Pat's, things like that are a little bit more straight downhill, it wears on you a little bit. And we're trying to find those right guys to get them in the right spot.
I love that linebacking core, though. I thought they looked.
Our linebackers are playing
good. Boy, Bridgeport
playing really well. Tanner's got through 4 games. I want to say he's over 60 tackles now.
That's a season for a lot of kids, isn't it?
I mean, last year he finished the year with 130. So I think he's kind of looking to max that. He reads really well, read guards well, and gets after the ball. And Noah Melgoza has stepped up this year at the other inside linebacker spot, and he's played really physical. I mean, that what that kid lacks in height, he makes up for with quite a wallop. He's a pretty powerful kid. When he fills pretty physical. So.
Yeah, I didn't know how much he weighed. I looked on that. I was surprised at the weight, but man, the kids up here know how to hit. The tackling, I'm always amazed with the last 2 years anyway about the tackling technique. Is that you?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's me. We definitely work on it.
Yeah.
You know, when I first got here, one of those, early games of the year, miss a lot more tackles than you want. We put a lot more emphasis on that, obviously, and I feel like for the most part, we tackle pretty well. You're always going to have those plays, no matter how well of a team you are at tackling. There's always going to be some plays where you get some guys that'll miss a tackle here and there that frustrate you. But the biggest thing that I always preach to our kids is never assume that somebody's going to make a tackle. Never assume that the play is over. And try to play with a mentality of trying to create that image that there's 12 to the ball. That 12th guy being your effort and your hustle and getting there, because only good things happen to teams that fly the football.
Yep, and I saw that. I like that afternoon, and it's just like, that's what we're supposed to do. You don't see it everywhere you go, man.
Yeah.
You got it here, Coach, and I like it. So tell us about, you're out of conference, out of district, I should say, has not been real friendly. I didn't think of St. Cecilia is better than we thought.
St. Cecilia's a good football team. They're big. St. Pat's is St. Pat's. They're always going to be in the mix there. We started the year with Hershey. And then after that, we had Bridgeport at home for that 3 o'clock afternoon game. Started the year pretty good. I kind of knew we were going to hit some hiccups there along the way. Especially with that new offense. We might put the ball on the ground a little bit in that mesh, just trying to, because with 30 guys, there's really nothing you can do to simulate a Friday night.
No.
No matter how many snaps you take through the spring and summer, those first couple of weeks are when you're really going to start to make a lot of improvements. Biggest thing is those second 2 weeks, St. Pat's, going to halftime tied, come out in the third quarter and lay an egg, so to speak. We turned it over multiple times, and then they punched it in a few times.
Yeah.
We were just making mistakes. I don't think it was one where we came out and were just completely blasted. I mean, maybe a little bit up front early in that third quarter, but offensively, we left a lot of points on the field. Going back and watching the film, it's so important in that flex bone when you're running option and you're not blocking guys, you can't block the wrong guy after that point.
No, you can't.
If you're not supposed to block the read, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to be downing a linebacker, and then you let that linebacker go, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
And those are some of the things that we're kind of working through right now. Is just defenses moving around and making sure we know where we're supposed to go and that kind of stuff. And it's slowly gotten better. St. Cecilia, we did better, but there's still there's still points on the field there when we watch film where I know that we're selling ourselves short because we're making mental errors that at this point in time I don't think we should be making.
I bet that gets taken care of.
I sure hope so. We looked a lot better this week. And,
good.
You know, we can't fall behind the sticks either.
Yeah,
we had a touchdown opening drive against St. Cecilia, got called back when we scored. You know, we ended up not scoring on that drive, so that one hurts a little bit. Yes. So everything with that offense, in my opinion, is staying on schedule and making sure that you stay ahead of the sticks. If you're doing that, we're going to be doing really well. All of a sudden, you end up with a third and long. That makes things a little bit tougher, especially with most of your pass game being decided or being set up by play action. There's not a whole lot of play action on 3rd and 22.
No, there is not. So tell me who's in your C2 District 5?
So we've got Twin River, ourselves, GICC, Ord, and David City.
Okay. Oh, David City is in your...
Or no, not David City, I'm sorry, Gibbon.
Gibbon, yeah.
Yeah, Gibbon's that one. So
it will not be playing this week, by the way.
I know, I saw that today.
So that's unfortunate, we don't have to see that, but David City, I think, would be your last district game.
Yes, yep, we'll have that one next week.
So when's your next home game, by the way?
Next home game is going to be Gibbon, I want to say October 8th. We're on the road the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. So we're at Twin River this Friday, and then we'll be, I believe, at David City. I think that's what we got next. I'd never try to look too far ahead.
No, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And another thing is, that district looks like a win. I mean, that's pretty wide open.
I think so. I mean, Ord's in there. I mean, Ord's going to be a load. I mean, that's going to be one where I know Norfolk Catholic this year ended up beating them, but it doesn't really matter what they come in at. That's a program that's been established. He's built a good program. I think they're more along the terms of reload instead of rebuild.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, that's going to be one where we're going to have to come in and we're going to have to play pretty flawless on offense and control a lot of the clock. And when we have the ball, we got to put points on the board.
Yep, I think it's possible.
That's how it's going to work. And we play them week 8, I believe. So.
But I think there's a great chance you could get through that with enough qualifying points to get in that 16. To me, it looks good.
I sure hope so. I sure hope so. I mean, I think we have a good outlook, and big thing we talk about, you know, I talk about to our kids, whether it's week 1 or week 8, 1-0 is everything we're looking at. Every week's a new week. 1-0, it's all that matters. And just going about our business that way. It doesn't matter who we got next week. What matters is who we got coming up on Friday, and this week it just happens to be Twin River. So
that's right.
That's where all our focus has been, trying to get back on track, put together a full game, because I don't think we've played a full game yet this year. You know, where I walked out of it and felt like we put together a really solid, consistent 48 minutes. We just haven't done it yet, so
in a way that's good. You know,
yeah, I mean, we're still improving for sure. You know, we want to continue to improve every week, so when we get to end of the year and God willing postseason, wow, we're firing on all cylinders.
Sounds good to me. I liked what I saw anyway. So you know, I don't think I have to tell anybody to get out and support this football program, because Friday nights are pretty big around here. They always have been since when I was here.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not all coming to see me. So, you know, a couple of weeks, you say, is the next home game, and going up to, well, Genoa now, because they don't play in Silver Creek anymore, so brand new facility up there, then down to David City, who called their game off last week, had to forfeit too, so let's hope everybody's well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wish you the best and keeping everybody healthy the rest of the way, because I think you've got a great opportunity here in front of you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're doing a good job, Coach Cron.
We're trying.
That is Coach Bart Cron from Centura High School. We wish him the best. Keep everybody healthy. Get out and support those Centurions the next time you have a chance, which hopefully is on the road or at home. So for McKenna Lamoury behind the camera, Coach Cron, Bobby Mills for theindependent.com. We'll see you next time with another Endzone Online.